One of the things we have in Ultimate Impact is to go at the other person's pace. Now, the thing about mentoring relationships is, like we talked about before, different personalities, different histories, different interests, that kind of thing. But also, people have their own pace. Now, I'm a person that once I led my first person to the Lord, I was kind of like, whoa, this is awesome. God used me to help redirect someone's eternal destiny. I love this. I love being a part of God's plan and following through with the Great Commission and being involved in people's lives, those kind of things. And it got me so excited. I had this sense of urgency inside of me that's like, all right, I want you to grow as fast as you can. And sometimes I would push people or a little too hard, or I would try to teach them too fast and they weren't absorbing. And after a while, I realized, I need to settle in at a pace. Now, do I need to encourage them to have a sense of urgency about their own life? Yes, of course I do. But even given that, passion shows up sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, sometimes fast, sometimes a little slower. Different people are put together a little different way, and it's okay, even if you feel like you're in a crock pot when you wish you were in a microwave as far as your spiritual growth was going. So think about this. Everybody has a pace. And in your mentoring groups, and this is one reason we keep them really, really small, 2 to 4 or 5 people, something like that, is that we can customize a spiritual growth plan for everyone. And people can go at their pace. You can still meet every week, but be patient with those who kind of get in a stuck place and they need some time to work through something or think through something. Keep showing them love and acceptance and grace. Other people are like, man, I'm going to knock it out. I'm going to hit this goal and I'm going to hit it by next week and I'm going to do it. And, they're just really goal setters, achiever types. Let them have that fast pace. That's good. Sometimes we have to keep up with them. But especially when I'm working with someone who's not a Christian, these 8 lessons in the foundational series, sometimes I've gone through all 8 of those in a day with somebody and a person made a decision on the spot. Sometimes it has taken 2 or even 3 years for a person to walk through that, to stop and ask questions about everything, to really make sure they understand it. And maybe they're overcoming something from their past, a bad religious experience or a legalistic church or a people-based church instead of a God-based church, where all the authority's in a person or something like that. And we've got to give people time to grow. I mean, think about times in your life where you wanted to grow fast, but it seemed like you just kept getting stuck and you were in this loop and you kept maybe falling to the same sin over and over and over again. And eventually you got out of that, but maybe it took you longer to learn how to do that than it did other things in your life. Didn't you appreciate the people who were showing you mercy when you were caught in that loop and you just had not quite gotten out of that bad pattern? Of course you did. And you're glad they were there for you when you did get out, and it meant that much more when you rejoiced. Okay, so anything we're talking about when it comes to spiritual growth, some areas we will grow faster in, some areas we're going to get stuck, we're going to have 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, over and over and over again. But the mentoring relationships are built with grace and acceptance in there. Encouragement is going to be so important at this. So think about, especially as you're more of a facilitator of a group instead of just more of a participant with a group. We don't really call them leaders because they are really peer groups based on a customized spiritual growth plan for everyone. But just realize that the more you do this, the more you'll probably end up being a facilitator of a group. And as people are coming and showing interest and showing effort, but it doesn't seem like they're making progress, you know what? Show the grace. Show the grace of God to them. Maybe there are words of encouragement that can help them go a little faster, but even if it doesn't, as long as they're coming, as long as they're not being counterproductive to the group, as long as they're being unified and humble, there's no reason why we should force someone into a pace that they're not really ready for. So we want to go at the other person's pace, and that's really an art. That's not something you can put on a timeline and graph and put on a spreadsheet and chart and that kind of thing. It's highly relational, and it means you know that person and you know where they are, and you're loving them through maybe a stuck place in their life. And that is going to mean so much to them that you didn't pressure them or guilt them or condemn them. It actually will become more motivating to them, and it might just increase their pace closer to what you hope it would be. So let's show grace to each other, let's be sensitive to each other, and let's go at other people's pace.